pour it in, and as it is. Here is one portion. Ciao a tutti! Today I will be adapting a Sicilian dish, a Sicilian classic, and it is a vegetarian meal made with only a few ingredients. Very, very popular in Sicily, funny enough, not throughout Italy, and this is my adaptation of a classic. I will start
What's
by...
it called?
It's called, in Italian, it's called pasta con I tenerumi, but tenerumi is, they are the leaves from zucchine. Zucchine are those very long courgettes in Italy, and we cannot get hold of them in this country, the zucchine, never mind the leaves. So I will be using courgette, I will be using this green spring. Actually, I've got a package here.
Spring greens.
Spring greens. They are mild and sweet. I put my finger so that you don't see the brand. They're dead cheap. You can buy them from the supermarket. I will only be using a few, as it's just Julie and I eating tonight, isn't it, Julie?
Yes, it is.
So let's get going, and then you will see how simple it is and delicious, I'll guarantee you. I'll start by making a base of tomato using very, very cheap ingredients, by the way. This is the cheapest I could find, and this is a tin of chopped tomatoes, and I will be chopping some garlic first, and I tend to use 1 clove of garlic per person. Do not worry, this will be cooked and it will not be too imposing on you. Also, this is a very, very important part of this recipe, because the garlic and the tomato sauce will be making a very key difference in the recipe. You can chop the garlic as fine or as chunky as you like. Pour a little olive oil in a pan. From cold, add the garlic. So I've just put the pan on a fairly hot temperature. Wait for the oil to start browning the garlic, and pretty soon afterwards add your tomato. Be careful with the hot splash. Add half a teaspoon of salt. Put the lid on, and then on a low setting, I put on number 3, and let it simmer now for 10 minutes. Do you know what that is called, by the way, Julie, that mix of tomato and garlic?
No.
It's called pick-pack. I don't know, it doesn't have a real meaning, but pick-pack I think is something to do with pacco. Pacco is like a package in Italian. It's just a word that has been adopted from Palermo.
Mm.
Yeah, pick-pack. So sometimes you might have heard it at home, pick-pack. Anyway, let's get going with the vegetables. So what I'll do, I will, from the larger leaves, I will remove the middle, as this is going to be quite difficult to cook throughout. I'll keep them, as I will be making most probably a minestrone or something, so I will not be throwing them away, but I will be removing them for now. Also, always ensure that you wash your vegetables before you cook with them. There might be chemicals, but also there might be the odd bug or earth. The only time I don't tend to worry too much is when I get towards the end, as they are quite compact and quite clearly difficult for earth or anything to get inside there. As I get through and I get to the smaller leaves, I will not be bothering, because they are quite tender in the middle anyway. However, excuse me, I will be removing the middle part, as this is tough as well, and I will be removing the core from here as well. So these ones, they can go with the rest here for our minestrone later. So now that I've got my greens all sorted, I will be chopping them into roughly similar sizes strips. Again, you do not have to be an artist. They will be boiling in a little while, so as long as they're broadly the same size, that'll be fine. For example, the bigger ones here, they're longer, so I'll just chop them in half. So that is perfectly okay. I'll put this on one side and I'll deal with my courgette. Generally, when I cook with courgettes, I leave the skin on because it's got lots of goodness and flavors and so on. But today I will be removing the skin. Clearly, I always remove the knobbly bit and the bum from them. The reason why I will be removing the skin is because it could be a little bit overpowering on this in this particular dish. I'm not going to get rid of it. I will be adding it to my minestrone anyway, but I will be removing it from this dish. Okay, so I will now slice my courgette. Again, I'm using one courgette for 2 people. If you're cooking for this for more than 2 people, double it if it's 4 of you and so on. And without necessarily being an artist, just do them in cubes, slightly the same size. So here's my courgette, here is my green, and also I will be adding a couple of frozen balls of spinach. They are still rock hard from the freezer, and you can cook from frozen. The reason why I'm adding the spinach is because I want to give a little bit more oomph. Oomph, is that the word to use?
Yeah.
Oomph to the dish, and also they'll be a little bit more sexy to look at as they go a nice deep green in color and taste, of course. I'll be cooking for 2 people. I've got some leftover water when I cooked some peas last night, so it's about half a pint. I will be adding it into an empty pan, and also I will be adding some hot water. You can just use only water if you wish, but as I've had some broth left over, I'm using it. Now, as you can see at the moment, it's only about, I would say, a quarter full, which is fine to start with. Water is boiling, and I'm now going to add my vegetables. I'll start with my frozen spinach first, and then I'll add the rest. I'll turn the temperature up, and I'm going to add a little bit more water so that everything is pretty much covered, like so. Add another half a teaspoon of salt. So these are boiling, and I will turn them down on low heat number 3 out of 9, and 10 minutes, as I said.
What's happening with the tomato?
They are simmering. They've been simmering for a good 5 minutes, so they need another 5 minutes now. But you can see, look, the sauce is already ristretta, meaning it's already looking as if it's getting cooked. While we wait, we will get on with the next part. I've got here 150 grams of spaghetti, so it'll be 75 grams each. We can use any type of pasta, but the traditional recipe uses spaghetti, and you can also use short pasta. But what the Sicilians do, they break it into approximately 2 centimeters long pieces. So I'll do this in 2 bunches, and literally with your fingers. Again, you don't need to get your ruler out, you just do them roughly in 2 centimeters. Don't do them too short, by the way, because otherwise they'll disappear. Julie, do you know that in Sicily you can actually buy broken spaghetti for this recipe?
Is it like broken biscuits you can buy in this country?
No, well, I don't know, maybe. But this is actually, it's labelled broken spaghetti for pasta, this particular pasta.
I've seen that.
Yeah, yeah. So here they are, very, very roughly broken. So our vegetables have been simmering for 10 minutes, and they're pretty much cooked. I have got too much water now. It's difficult to judge when it's full of vegetables, so I'm going to remove some. Now I'll keep it for when I make my next meal with the vegetables, and I need some vegetable water. The reason why I'm removing some is because this is going to be feeding 2 people, and there is too much water, and Julie will be a vegetable swirl.
I'll be a swill.
A swirl. So just judge it by the amount of water you want to leave once we've cooked the pasta. I think that's okay, that's enough. Turn up on now high again, and we will add our broken spaghetti. And they will not take long at all to cook, maybe 5-6 minutes. But again, I will not leave it on a high temperature. I will turn them slightly down, and I will let them boil without the lid on this time. In the meantime, our sauce is ready. I've turned it off, and there it is. It smells lovely. You can really smell the garlic, which is cooked nicely. And what I'll do, I will be adding a few leaves of basil, and this is optional. I do this all the time. I think it's delicious. I don't know why all Sicilians don't do it, but with the sauce turned off, put them in and just let the flavor of the basil infuse your sauce. The pasta has now been cooking for a good 8 minutes, and as I always say, the best way to test it, to see if it's cooked it, is to taste it. So we're gonna be getting some, just a little piece really, don't burn yourself. And indeed, it's cooked.
Let's have a look.
There it is. By the way, you don't need to worry too much about this pasta being al dente. Actually, if it is not al dente and is a little bit over, it doesn't really matter. Also, this is a sort of recipe that you can reheat the day after, because it's a bit like a broth to an extent and no different to minestrone. I'll stay here, and we got our tomato here, and oh, the smell of basil. So quite simply, everything is off now from the heat. Just pour it in, and as it is. Don't need to cook it anymore. Some people put this back on the hob. I don't, because if you do, you will lose some of the flavor from the basil and the tomato which has been infusing. Are you following me?
No, not successfully, no. Goes nicely with your apron, except for the blue.
Well, the pasta does.
Yeah, except for the blue. There's no blue, but there is.
Do you like my new apron?
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll serve some up, and I would, by the way, recommend that you use chopped tomato with this recipe. Do not use passata. Of course, you can use whatever you like, but it's not going to work as well, and it's also pretty to look at the red broken tomatoes in there. So here is one portion. Oh, it's lovely smell coming up.
I've lost my sense of smell. I can't smell anything.
You're cold.
Let me go. Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay. I will be adding a little olive oil. This is, in my books, is compulsory with these dishes, by the way. But of course you do what you want. In Sicily they do. And something that is optional, and not every Sicilian does, is to add Parmesan cheese. I do, because I think, not a lot, you don't want it to be overpowering the recipe, but just a little. It's enough to just give it that extra flavor and taste. That's fine. Shall we test it?
Yeah.
Shall I go first this time?
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a piece of courgette, a piece of tomato, a piece of pasta.
Pasta's good.
It's very hot though. Lovely. It's not the same as the leaves from the tenerumi, which is the leaves from the zucchina plant, but it's very, very close, because the spinach actually, they add that extra texture that I was mentioning earlier, and the courgette are very similar to zucchini anyway, so I can guarantee you that it's most probably 90% the same as to what you would buy, or what you would not buy, make in Sicily. Great! Thank you for watching the video, if you watched to the end, and I hope you try it. It's very cheap, very economical, incredibly healthy. I think the cost for 2 portions here, the most expensive ingredient most probably is the tomato tins and the courgette, but I think approximately £1 in money, and what a delicious meal, and healthy as well. Ciao ciao for now, thank you for watching once again, and see you later, bye.